Hello, everyone. My name is David Jenemann, and I'm the Dean of the Honors College, and welcome to an event that we've been calling Dessert with the Dean. It's an opportunity for me to talk just a little bit about what you can expect if you come to the Honors College for the fall of 2021, but mainly to give you an opportunity to ask questions of me about what the experience is like here at the University of Vermont and in the Honors College. I promise that I'll only talk at the outset for about 10 minutes to give everybody a lot of opportunity to ask questions. And then my colleagues who are in the background of this event, my Associate Dean, Ian Grimmer, and my Assistant Dean, Britt Chase, will be taking questions and then putting them up on the screen for people to see as well. So please feel free to enter your questions when that opportunity presents itself, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. If we don't get to your question tonight, don't worry, we can get back to you and answer anything you might want to know about the Honors College. So the Honors College at the University of Vermont is about 950 students. We have students from every undergraduate college, pretty much every major on campus, and those students represent about the top 10% of the entering class of the University of Vermont this year. The students are in engineering, they're in environmental studies, they're in English, they are student athletes, they are involved in student government, they're involved in the drama and debate society. We have students who are nationally ranked ballroom dancers and students who are skiers in the Honors College. So we really have students who do everything that University of Vermont students do generally. What binds them all together is that they live and study in the Honors College, in our learning community. We like to think of the Honors College as a place where excellence meets opportunity. You are excellent students. Your academic record and your extracurricular interests have marked you as someone who's got a passion for learning and a passion for academic success. The Honors College is a place where those qualities meet opportunities to do some amazing things. It starts with the undergraduate curriculum in the Honors College. In your first 2 years, you'll be taking small seminars taught by some of the best faculty on campus, teaching predominantly in their area of expertise. In the first semester of your first year, you'll take a course that we call generally the Pursuit of Knowledge. That class is a first year writing and information literacy class on a special topic of the faculty members choosing, but there are aspects of the class throughout the semester that are shared with the entire first year Honors College class. So you will have a first year reading that you'll be doing with every member of the Honors College class. Some of your assignments that you'll all be working on up in the dorms together will be shared assignments. So we like to give students the opportunity to form that academic community while they're living in the Honors College and while they're working on their academics with one another. After the first semester, students continue to take seminars for the rest of their first 2 years. Again, these are small, usually about 19 or 20 student courses, ranging in topics from cinematic adaptations of literary works to how plants migrate given climate change conditions, to an engineering course on groundwater taught with a member of the National Academy of Sciences. So you'll be able to find your area of interest in our Honors College seminars. You'll also be able to take many of your general education requirements. As I said, the first semester course is our first year writing and information literacy course. You will also, in your Honors College seminars, likely be able to take a course in diversity or in sustainability. You might be able to take a course that fills your math requirement or your literature requirement. We want students to understand that the Honors College isn't extra or an additional thing they have to do with their UVM career. It's an amplification of what they're doing in their UVM career, and it's an opportunity that is only available to an Honors College student, those seminars. After the first 2 years, we provide students the opportunity to get involved in a research project of their own. We ask every Honors College student to do a thesis, and I say do a thesis rather than write a thesis, because although we have plenty of students who are doing a traditional 50 to 75 page undergraduate thesis, we also have plenty of students who are doing projects for their thesis. We've had students, student who just graduated, Alex Taylor, who was a chemistry major. He did a podcast about coral reef bleaching for his thesis. He interviewed people around the world whose life and livelihoods are impacted by the effects of climate change on coral reefs, and that was his thesis. We've had students do plays as their thesis. A few years ago, we had a student who went to the Kansas State Historical Archives to research the first woman ever elected to elected office in the United States, who happened to be a mayor in Kansas. That research on the life of this woman was made into a play, and that play was produced here in Burlington. So again, we really want students to get creative with their thesis project and to think about what excites them in their studies. And we find that the opportunity to design a project, work on it with a faculty member, possibly work on it with other students that you're collaborating with, see that project through from conception to design to execution and completion, and ultimately to defending that thesis and presenting your work at our annual student research conference, which we're having tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week, is an opportunity that is going to give you some translatable skills, whether you continue with that thesis work at the next stage of your career or you don't revisit that thesis work again. The process of doing a thesis is something that's going to build skills that you'll need for the rest of your career. So other than the courses and the thesis project, one of the other things that defines the Honors College is our commitment to participating in all of the opportunities that UVM has to offer. As I said, we have students who are athletes, we have students who are in drama. Our students have been involved with the with the different climate movements on campus, with the different social justice movements on campus. One of our students who graduated in the last year, Jillian Notnagara, she worked on access to state and national parks in the United States. And her thesis project combined her passion for making national parks accessible and her interest in social and racial justice. And she worked with the Park Service in the state of New Jersey to do a survey on how Black, Indigenous, and people of color were able to access the state parks. So students really are able to think about the Honors College as embracing the whole of their university experience, not just their academics, not just their extracurricular activities, not just their political or artistic passions, but as a way to think about the package as a whole. And that's why the other thing we like to think of the Honors College as a community of inquiry. We really put the emphasis on building a community, having the students think of themselves as part of the bigger whole of the University of Vermont. One of the questions we're frequently asked in admissions events is, are the students required to be separate from the rest of the student body? And the answer is absolutely not. Even though you have a wonderful opportunity to live in some of the nicer housing on campus and take some cool classes that are only available to Honors College students, every Honors College student is fully a part of the UVM campus and avails themselves of all the wonderful things that UVM has to offer. A couple of other pieces of information before I switch over to questions, because I promised I would only talk till about 7:10. In the fall, we are planning a fully in-person experience. We're hoping that things will return to normal. UVM is continuing to work closely with the Vermont Department of Health and the governor's office in the state of Vermont to move us in that direction. We're going to be closely monitoring the situation with COVID, and as things get closer to the fall semester, we will be letting people know what to expect when they return. But knock on wood, we're really hoping, all of us, that we can be back to something like normal operations in the fall. The other thing I should say before I take questions is that UVM Admissions is now offering limited opportunities to take tours on campus and visit in the spring. There are some pretty specific parameters and expectations for visits, and I think it's fair to say that. So that if people have questions, they should contact the admissions office if they're looking to visit campus. And that email address, and we can post it in the Q&A at some point, is admissions@uvm.edu. I know there's a lot more I could say about the Honors College, and I hope I get a chance to say it in the Q&A, but I promised I would only talk for a few minutes because I did want to hear what your questions were. So without further preamble then, I'm looking forward to hearing what people's questions are. Oh, one thing I forgot to say at the outset is we call this Dessert with the Dean, and one of the things that's consistently happened in these conversations is someone has felt the need to torment me with whatever delicious dessert they happen to be eating. So, let me have it. If you've got something good that you're having for dessert tonight, let me know. All right, so it looks like we've got some questions already up. What are the class sizes in the Honors College, and how do advisors and classes help you choose a major for undecided students? That is a great question. I think I may have mentioned that classes are typically about 19 to 20 students in the Honors College seminars. We like to keep them small because they're discussion-based. We really like students to engage with the faculty members on a one-on-one basis. It's been honestly one of the most challenging things about COVID for us that even when we've been in person for some of our classes, we haven't been able to be in our usual classroom spaces, which are set up for seminar style discussions. So we've had, classes of 19 students in rooms set for 75, which is a little bit different experience and has been hard because so much of what we do is about building an intellectual community in the Honors College. We've managed to make it through, but we're really looking forward to being back in those spaces. In terms of advising, every student in the Honors College will have multiple levels of advising. You will have a faculty advisor assigned to you for your first year. You'll have a professional advisor in your home college, your home academic college. You'll also have an Honors College advisor who works with you. If you're a student athlete, if you're in some of the clubs or organizations on campus, you might have an advisor associated with the athletic department or with one of the clubs. So again, every student is going to have multiple levels of advising. Those advisors do help with questions like, is this the right major for me? Or I'm undeclared or undecided, what should my major be? Particularly in the Honors College, because we interact with all of the undergraduate colleges, our advisors are really good resources for helping get the whole picture of the university. You may be in the College of Arts and Sciences and studying biology, but you might not know about some of the things that interact with or intersect with biology in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences or the Rubenstein School for the Environment and Natural Resources, but our advisors do, and they can help you think about where your interests align, not just in your home college, but elsewhere throughout the university. So that's certainly something we do. The mantra of one of our advisors, Martha Lance, is, send the undeclareds to me. I love the undeclareds, and she really does. She works really well and really closely with the undeclared students because she has the memory of being one of those students herself as an undergraduate, and she's passionate about helping students find that thing that they really resonate with. All right. Next question is, if you double major, would you complete 2 theses? And that's from Helen. Helen, thanks for that question. I guess if you really wanted to, I mean, honors college students are often go-getters and pretty ambitious, but no, we don't require students to do 2 thesis projects. And I should say that your thesis project doesn't necessarily have to be in your major. We've had a lot of interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, trans-university thesis projects. As I mentioned, Alex Taylor, the student who was a chemist, he worked with me, and I teach in media and film and television studies to do his podcast project. I would certainly not be qualified to advise a chemistry thesis, but we really want to promote students' capacity to do things in whatever register and whatever discipline they get excited about. So you only have to do 1 thesis. That's the good news. But the other piece of good news is if you want to do something that doesn't strictly lie within your major, that's also an opportunity you have in the Honors College. Great. We had a great live tour today with Honors College student Aiden May. That's nice to hear. He gave a wonderfully detailed and insightful tour. He just wanted to give him a shout out. Well, I'm happy to give Aiden a shout out too. We love Aiden, and that's great to hear that you had a good tour. I'm glad you were able to visit us in person. The question is, what time are these classes? They range throughout the day. I for better or worse, tend to do the 8:30 in the morning session. Other faculty members do courses at 10, they do them at 2, they do them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no set time that the Honors College classes happen. We have typically in the first year class about 270 students. So there are 12, 13, 14 seminars for first year students running all throughout the academic week and all throughout the academic day. It's a good question. What kind of environment does the Honors College have and how competitive is it? That's a fair question. And it's one that I'm actually really happy you asked, because one of the things I love about the Honors College is it really mirrors the experience I had as an undergraduate. I went to a small liberal arts college, and I was in an honors program. And in our honors program, you had to do an external examination at the end of the experience. And for the last 2 weeks of your college experience, all the students, were studying really hard, trying to figure out what they were doing, trying to remember what they learned throughout their time in the Honors College, taking the seminars they did. And it was the most collaborative and supportive intellectual experience I had ever had until I became the Dean of the Honors College. And I can say that the students in the Honors College really do pull for one another. Part of that is by virtue of the fact that the students are coming from so many different disciplines. It's really hard to think about the environmental studies student competing with the dance student and competing with the biochemistry student. It's also because we have a really robust and supportive and caring peer mentor program, and we really strive to help people feel like they're part of a community. We take this idea, and I should have said this at the outset, from a UVM alum, John Dewey, who was an educational reformer and philosopher. And Dewey believed that the only way you could solve society's problems was through collaboration in what he called a community of inquiry. That's where we take that term. And he believed pretty profoundly that you couldn't advance societal needs without the participation of every race, every gender, every sect, every class, and we try to model that as best we can in the Honors College. And so, it's not a competitive environment at all, which is not to say that students don't get competitive and people don't get competitive. Once we're back in person, Ian Grimmer and I, Ian's our associate dean, he and I each have our own thing we make for the Honors College. I make mac and cheese. It's an all-day baked mac and cheese. Ian makes apple crisp. And you can bet that we're keeping tabs on who shows up for one versus the other and how many servings we give out. But that's about the extent of the competition in the Honors College. We got somebody eating Ben & Jerry's caramel chocolate cheesecake. Excellent and very Vermont appropriate. So thank you for supporting our local ice cream business. Next question is from Rebecca G. Can you talk more about the Honors College living situations? By the way, I'm having cheesecake. All right, excellent. Good to hear you're having cheesecake. If you really wanted to pique my interest, you would have told me whether it was a graham cracker crust or something else. But I'll go with the fact that you're having cheesecake. So in terms of the living situations, our residence hall, where most of the students live for their first year into their second year, is University Heights North. It's one of the newer dorms on campus. It's now not the newest dorm on campus because we had one open within the last 3 years now, but we think of it as probably the nicest dorm on campus. It's got a lot of varied living situations. It's got some suite rooms where you've got a double on either side of a bathroom. It's got some lofts in the building that students can live in. It's got a real range of layouts and living opportunities. Students typically live there their first year. They can prefer to live there, excuse me, their sophomore year. And we find that most students do choose to live in University Heights. Some students choose to live in the wellness environment or some of the other learning communities, but for the most part, probably 90% of the students are living here in University Heights. And what that means in years when we are able to offer classes in our building is if you're taking an early morning class, you roll out of bed and into class. And that's part of, I think, the joy of being in the Honors College is that you are actually learning in your home base. You've got classes in other parts of the university as well, but at least you've got that one class on your home turf. How is the Honors College housing different? I think it's different in that we do have this dormitory that has a lot of different layouts. It's not just a standard set of double room, maybe a single for the RA. It really does mix things up. You've got some first year students, you've got some sophomore students, you've got some upper class students. And I found as an undergraduate that having those mix of ages was really influential. I still am in close contact with the juniors and seniors on my hall when I was a first year student who were great mentors to me. I learned so much from the other people on my hall who had been at the university for a while, and we try to create some of that in the Honors College by mixing up the ages in the rooms, mixing up the class ages in the rooms, and mixing up the types of rooms that students live in. How many times per week would I attend my Honors College class, and how long is the typical class? That's from Thomas. Thanks, Thomas. So the class schedule typically is that you would take a course either on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or on Tuesday and Thursday. And the class meeting schedule typically has classes meeting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 50 minutes each class, and for classes on Tuesday and Thursday, an hour and 10 minutes per class. So they're essentially meeting for the same amount of time. It's just whether it's 2 days or 3 days. And so you'd either be doing it 2 days or 3 days a week. I missed a question. Would you miss anything if you have an off-campus class from 6 to 9, like there are seminars or group projects happening at that time? I'm not sure, and maybe we can touch base offline for the person who asked this question. I'm not sure if you mean 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You would generally not be missing anything if it's not the the 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. that I'm hoping you're not talking about. If it's 6 to 9 p.m., you're going to have most of your classes during the day. You are going to have your honors college classes typically between 8:30 and 6 o'clock at night. The one exception to that is we do periodically have what we call common hour in the honors college, where students in the first year all meet together for an event, for a speaker, for some advising information, and that typically happens in the 5:20 to 6:20 range. So there might be a conflict there, but it's not something that we couldn't figure out how to work with your schedule or work around. How many, let's see, how would the UVM Honors College experience compare to a liberal arts college experience? Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I've touched on a little bit. I think it compares very well, but the thing that's different, I think, is just as important. So I went to a school that had 1,300 students when I was an undergraduate. It was, pretty small. I thought the learning environment was second to none. The idea that you take classes together with students, you have that intensive intellectual experience, like that's why I'm here. That's what I love about higher education and what I love about in-person higher education, what I've missed in the last year. What I didn't have as an undergraduate was access to a world-class medical center or to an engineering college or to a college of the environment. So in the Honors College, you're going to have that liberal arts experience in the context of a major research university. And the fact that we put such a value on research as part of the Honors College experience is reflective of the fact that we have all these extraordinary resources, whether it's working with organic robots. We have one of the foremost robotics experts in the world on campus who invented the first fully organic robot in the last year or so. We have, some of the most interesting research on Twitter and social media going on here with this group that is working on a project they call the Hedonometer, where they measure the emotional health of the country on a minute-by-minute basis based on the Twitter feeds that people are putting out in the country. So those are things that are, fairly, fairly high-end, research projects that you wouldn't necessarily find at a small liberal arts college, but you'll be able to find them here as part of the Honors College experience. Let's see, making sure I'm not missing any questions. How many classes do students typically take each semester? It's usually in the 4 to 6 range, and every student's schedule looks different. Some students in highly structured majors in, say, the College of Nursing and Health Sciences or the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences will have a pretty structured schedule, which will probably want them to be taking 5 or 6 classes per semester. Other students in less highly structured majors could still be taking 5 or 6 classes, but could also be taking 4 classes in a given semester. It's really up to the student and depends a little bit on what major they're in. Are students able to choose their room situation, or is it randomly assigned? That is a great question, and one that I have an answer to. So after paying your acceptance fee, all incoming first-year students can review and submit the housing and meal plan contract. Then you will be getting more information about how to choose your room, possibly choose your roommate. If you know somebody coming into the Honors College who is, you'd like to room with, if you have met somebody online or using social media that you think you might want to room with, you can specify that as a preference. Once the contract comes out, you'll have a preference. You'll have a chance to preference your learning community, and that's when you can sign up for honors housing and also tell us any special preferences or needs you might have. All right, next question. Let's see. What's my favorite part of the HCOL? It's got to be that I work with some of the most amazing students I've ever encountered. It's two things actually. The first is the students I work with. I always marvel. So we have the student research conference this week. It starts tomorrow, and I'll never forget the first time I went to the Students Research Conference. It was before I was the dean of the Honors College, and I walked up to a student of mine, Catherine Amadon, who was a biology student. She's now just about to complete her PhD in structural biology at Vanderbilt University, and Catherine was standing in front of a poster that I couldn't make heads or tails of because I'm a humanities professor. I work in film and literature and the mass media. And I asked Catherine what the poster was about. And she said, my project was working on the switch that turns a thyroid cell cancerous. And this is a student who I had first met when she was 18 years old, just fresh out of high school. And she had been in my first year seminar. And the idea that Catherine went from, the student who, was fresh out of high school to a student who's doing pretty consequential and high-end cancer research really just overawed me with inspiration. And that's the best part about working in the Honors College. The best part about working at UVM, and that's where the Honors College is that UVM is in Burlington, Vermont, and Burlington, Vermont is a city that in every way imaginable punches above its weight on the world stage. We're only 40,000 people in Burlington, but we're the biggest city in the state. We're the economic engine of the state. We're the intellectual engine of the state because of the university. We also have, these two Senate representatives in the U.S. Senate who have, kind of important profiles. Bernie Sanders and Pat Leahy, who's now the Senate pro tem. Students at the University of Vermont have opportunities to do things here that they might not have at a bigger place. A student can knock on the door of an innovative tech company that's being featured in Forbes magazine and get an internship just because of the fact that your professor might be standing on a soccer field watching their kids, play soccer together. You can apply for internships with Bernie Sanders and Pat Leahy, and it's likely that we have relationships with their offices where we can write letters of recommendation for you. So the smallness of Burlington and its kind of outsized importance on the world stage is the second favorite thing I have about the Honors College, but the first has to be the students I get to work with. Are students able to choose? Okay, and I see Britt put something in there about rooming situation. What's my favorite part of the Honors College? Okay, where do Honors College upper class students live, and if not in those dorms? The majority of students in their junior and senior year, not just in the Honors College, but at the University of Vermont generally, live in Burlington. Off campus. It's a pretty thriving college community here in Burlington. Students, tend to have apartments or, tend to rent rooms in houses. There are, sometimes opportunities for students to continue living in University Heights for all 4 of their years. We don't and can't guarantee it, unfortunately, but students can ask to be preferenced into University Heights. Other students live in other residence halls on campus in their junior and senior year. We have a couple of apartment complexes that lease their land from the university, so they appear to be on-campus housing, but they're actually run by independent property managers. So there's options, whether it's kind of apartment building style living or living in a house in Burlington. There's a real range. Typically, how does people go about finding roommates in the honors living community? It's a good question. We have our different social media accounts. We have our different ways of connecting with each other. Once you put in your deposit, I would recommend getting some information from us if you decide to come here about where those communities are, how to get connected, and start talking to people. I know, and I should have said this at the outset, I've got a son who's a sophomore in college right now. I've got two kids who are coming up the pipeline and going through the process of looking at colleges. I know that one of the things that's pretty consistent in the college experience now is having those social media avenues where students can connect with one another before they arrive on campus, and UVM has those as well. Is it more expensive to live in University Heights versus any other living community? What I can say is that the university does have a variable scale for the different learning communities, but depending on your particular financial situation and your financial aid package, the cost of living in any one learning community, any one residence hall is going to differ. So I can't say with any degree of certainty whether it's more or less to live in University Heights, but there is a scale in terms of certain dorms being slightly more expensive to live in than other dorms. And I see Britt. Britt said room rates may vary depending on room styles. And most are suite doubles and private doubles. Great, thanks, Britt. Does the Honors College provide opportunities for internships? Enjoying a matcha ice cream. All right, glad you're enjoying the matcha ice cream, Zoe. Yes, we have in the Honors College the Office of Fellowships, Opportunities, and Undergraduate Research. So, like I said, many of our students, all of our students, end up doing research by the end of their senior year. Many of our students get involved in research and research opportunities on campus earlier in their career. They also, through the Office of Fellowships, Opportunities, and Undergraduate Research, get involved in internships with our local business partners and our local business community. We also have strong relationships with our Career Services Office, and between the four office, that's the Fellowships and Undergraduate Research Office and the Career Services Office, we're able to get students connected with pretty much any opportunity they could imagine. We don't hand out internships, and we do see the value in applying for them and finding out information of them and professionalizing yourself as you go into these opportunities. But we have plenty of opportunities to connect students with so that they can go through that process. Do Honors College students, do students at UVM ever have trouble getting into classes? Well, I can't speak about students at UVM generally. I know that students at UVM, not every student gets exactly the class they want, exactly when they want. But in the Honors College, students have different versions of priority registration. So every student in the Honors College will have priority registration at some point in their career. What that means is that you will register either ahead of most of the rest of the university or ahead of your class. And so you are likely to get the classes you want when you're registering because Honors College has that as one of its perks. What I will say is that the class that students tend to have trouble getting or find some conflicts with are their Honors College seminars, because the Honors College seminars are generally really cool. The faculty members are really good, and the students, queue up to register for those Honors College seminars really early on the days that they can actually register. So the one time as an Honors College student you're going to find trouble getting your classes, or at least some conflict, is when you're signing up for your Honors College classes. But don't worry, because we usually have at least a dozen, 13 or 14 Honors College seminars each semester, so everybody gets something that they like, and there tends to be a little bit of movement here and there, so people often tend to get their first choice at the end of the day anyway. All right, other questions people have, let's see. What are the requirements of staying in the Honors College? Great question. So we ask students in their first couple of years to sustain a 3.2 GPA. And for registering for and proposing a thesis, you need to have a 3.4 GPA. That's a grade point requirement, but I understand that that needs a little bit of explanation. So plenty of students in the Honors College have had a tough class. A good friend of the Honors College, a member of our advisory board, guy by the name of Josh Prince, who is a person who works in the advertising industry in New York, has been super successful in his career. He came and gave a talk to the Honors College a couple of years ago, and he said, I thought I was going to be a doctor, and then I hit organic chemistry. And at that point, his slide that he's presenting with explodes and bursts into flames. Students are going to run into classes that they have trouble with and they struggle with. If a student slips below the grade point average in the Honors College, we don't say, see you, goodbye. We have a process where we try and get students back on track. And that process is, we're going to work with you through our academic advisors, through your faculty advisors, to make sure that you're succeeding and thriving in the Honors College. So the vast majority of our students end up doing just fine by way of the GPA requirement. So yeah, there are requirements to stay in the Honors College, and we expect you to be a good university citizen as well. I mean, that's part of being in the Honors College. But the grade point average is not one that people should feel is an undue burden, especially because we work really hard with the students to make sure they're achieving it. How big is campus? Is it possible to walk or bike to class? What about going downtown? Yeah. So as someone who runs, I can tell you the exact distances between a lot of places in and around Burlington. It is about a 5 to 10 minute walk from University Heights North to pretty much anywhere you'd have class on campus. If you budget 15 minutes, you'll have no problem. If you bike, it'll be that much shorter. If you require other means of transportation, whether it's a bus or some other means of getting around, again, I probably budget about 15 minutes. The buses come right past University Heights, pretty much every 5 minutes or so. So it's a really navigable campus. Downtown Burlington is exactly half a mile from our door, and it's downhill. The good news is that going up, there's a shuttle that runs up and down College Street. That's for free, and will get you right onto campus again, where again everything's about 5 minutes away. So it's a sizable land grant research university, but it's fairly self-contained. The medical center is not somewhere way across town. It's right here on campus. All of the signature and main academic buildings are here on campus. The only real exception to that, and not that far away, are some of the agriculture research facilities. But even those are within about a 15-minute bike ride, 20-minute walk, some of them. So you'll be able to get to where you need to go pretty easily. I'd say 10 out of the 12 months of the year, it's perfectly pleasant to be outside. So, when do we register for classes, and how do we find out about major requirements? So registration will take place in June. You will be working with an advisor in your home college and us in the Honors College about finding your classes. You will be pre-registered into your Honors College seminar by us, and we do that so we make sure that everybody has an Honors College seminar and it fits with their schedule. It doesn't mean that you're completely locked into it, but most people find that the class they're in is the one they're excited about and stay with it. Beyond that, you'll be working with your academic advisors in your home college to find your schedule. For many students on campus who are in highly structured majors, you'll have most of your classes pre-registered for you. For other students who are undeclared and have more flexibility in their schedule, there'll be more opportunity for discussion and choice there. But that's when the process takes place in June. Does UVM accept AP or IB credits from high school? Yes, they do. Once those tests come in the summer, then students work with the transfer credit office to figure out exactly what credits will be transferring and to what extent. We find many students come into the Honors College with, a dozen, even more AP credits. And some students start in the Honors College as a second semester, first year student as a result. So we do accept those, and it's going to, be on a student to student basis, just how much they're for and what it's going to mean for your academic record going forward. Oh, and thanks, Sarah, for posting the credit guide. All right, any final questions? We're right up at 7:45, which I know is the time we were supposed to go to. Well, if there aren't any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us in the Honors College. We are available to answer your questions and tell you more about the experience here. If you're looking for other ways to contact us or to accept your invitation, you can go to go.uvm.edu/HCOL2025. That's your graduation year. Welcome, class of 2025. On that site, you'll see a video tour of the Honors College, and as well as a few videos about Burlington. You'll also see a schedule of upcoming events and ways to connect with our current students if you have questions for them. Follow us on Instagram at UVM Honors College, and you can like us obviously on the college Facebook page. You can also contact us by email if you didn't get your questions answered tonight at honors.college@uvm.edu. With that, thank you all for being here. And I'll say what I've been saying at the end of these. I know this has been a year like any other. I'm really happy you're here with us. I really hope we get to see you in the fall. But more than that, I hope that you and your families are well and stay well. So take care, and we'll see you in the fall.